we do have some promising possibilities on the backpack and Wal-Mart. Okay, the New York Post is reporting that detectives have been handed their, quote, most promising lead yet, according to a former top cop who they interviewed, who said that Wal-Mart has now handed over the purchase records for backpacks that match the one used by the perp, the abductor. It's a black Ozark Trail hiker. They're 99% sure that's what it is. And that bag is sold exclusively at Walmart. So that's great. Now, they do point out, look, it doesn't mean couldn't have wound up at a Goodwill or a thrift store or a flea market or been gifted by somebody to somebody else. But let's face it, the overwhelming odds are that this guy bought it. And he bought it at a Walmart. And so they're going back now and trying to figure out, thanks to like the SKU numbers, you know, where you scan your little number when you buy something, who bought these backpacks, when, where, and trying to find videotape that'll match the transaction and any other identifying information. I mean, this seems to me like good old-fashioned police work.
Very good. And one thing I can say about Walmart is they have phenomenal technology and cameras in there. Every register has a camera in it. We know we have them at the entrances, the parking lots. So what will be really interesting is I did read one thing, and it may have been on X or something, that they believe that type of ski mask is also sold at Walmart. So what a golden, a golden egg this would be, Megyn, if all of a sudden you see the guy with the old soul patch and the backpack and the ski mask. At that point, you better start stretching and get ready. Because things are going to start moving really quickly. But it's almost like a tale as old as times. How many Dateline episodes or crime shows have we seen where they go back, and this is how they're caught? They go back to the Walmart, the Ace Hardware, and you see them buying the type of equipment to dispose of a body or to break in or whatever.
Duct tape, exactly. It's a shovel, it's duct tape, it's a tarp.
It's a murder kit.
I mean, like every other Dateline.
We're still dealing with
every
criminal,
other Dateline
guys. This is still a criminal. Right? Criminals aren't smart. They do screw up, and I get it. I'm sitting there going, well, this guy's covered his tracks pretty well so far, but they're still criminals, and somewhere he has screwed up in that crime scene.
You know,
well, that's the thing, Jonathan. This guy, he will not. He didn't think he was going to get caught on camera that night at Nancy Guthrie's. He did not think so. You know, he wore his little ski mask to protect his identity. Then he thought he was hiding or covering up that camera, and then eventually took it down. I'm sure he was shocked to learn that there were still images of him. So, what are the odds when he bought this backpack? We're told if it's the backpack they think, it's only available at Walmart. What are the odds this guy was there buying it thinking, I've got to hide my identity here. They're going to figure out I had this backpack. Meanwhile, he thought he wouldn't even be on camera. They're going to figure out I have the backpack, though, and I got to hide the trip to Walmart. Maybe I'm wrong, but even the DC pipe bomber accused, who seemed like autistic and yet very smart in some ways, had bought like pieces of that bomb in this Radio Shack and that store and this store and the other store, and waited years between the purchases to make it look less suspicious, but they pieced it all together. What are the odds that this guy, Mr. I'm going to shove some vegetation on it, was so meticulous in the lead up that every single purchase was masked in a way that he's not identifiable?
Well, they're thinking, it's hard to understand these criminals and the way that they think. I mean, one thing is they're bold enough and comfortable enough with walking onto somebody's porch at 2 a.m. And then going in, breaking in, and staying in there for what we know at least 41 minutes. That's the comfort zone that they work in, which is, it can be a psychopathic type of where they don't have a conscience like we would typically have, and so they don't feel the emotions like we feel, so they can go in and do these things, but it doesn't mean that they're good at what they do. And so what we typically see, and again, I've been in the FBI and done all these other things, but watching 48 Hours, binge watching that for years and years, what you're going to see are statistics and behaviors and things that come out with these people, and they do things because they don't have the conscience and they're not scared, but they make these gigantic mistakes or micro mistakes that really giant investigators are able to go out and find. So I think that diligent investigation and agencies that do their work in a fast is smooth is slow, and when they do that and they really take in all things into account, you will see these mistakes that these criminals make, and it's profound. We mistake, though. We say all the time that this was a what's the word that they use? That this was an advanced, or that this person had some type of expertise in this. I mean, as we see with that guy, his expertise was walking up, covering himself completely up, and walking into a home. But I'm sure he didn't think that when he dropped that glove a mile or more away from the home, that was going to be found by investigators. I'm positive that he didn't think that.
Well, if that's his.
Yeah.
If that's his. We don't
and
know.
One caveat to that bag, I will say, and to Walmart, is that they do live very close to the border, and there are Walmarts in Mexico. So he could have gotten that bag in Mexico, and if that's the case, then it throws a whole other problem into the case.
And we're also told that the Tucson Walmart does not have that ski mask. They don't keep them in stock. And so that would have to be an online purchase if he got that at Walmart. I mean, that one could have come from Amazon, et cetera. So that one may be a little tougher to track. Maureen, can I ask you, yesterday, I did the show without you guys, and the breaking news yesterday morning was that a local reporter in Tucson was claiming, based on an inside source, she didn't describe it as law enforcement, et cetera, that this whole case has moved closer to believing that A, Nancy may be alive, and B, that this was a burglary gone bad. Now, no sooner did she take to the airwaves and report that than both of the Fox News reporters on this, citing their federal sources, said getting serious pushback on that, on both pieces of it. They're not saying Nancy's dead. They're just saying, don't sign me up for we strongly believe she's still alive. And the burglary thing, but she's standing by her sources, and she's had good reporting thus far. Do you believe that this was plausibly a burglary gone bad?
No. No, I don't. And I don't know of many burglars that go into a house, don't take anything of value other than a female victim who's practically immobile. So no, I don't think that's. I wonder who her source is and what they heard that they misunderstood, because it just doesn't seem to make any sense to me at all.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't rule it out, though. I wouldn't rule it out, and I hope that they don't.
Why not? Because the reason I rule it out is because he didn't take anything other than Nancy.
That we know of.
If you're going to steal, and well, yes, but I mean, I feel like the sheriff would have told us if we have reason to believe there was some burglary. There was a burglary aspect of it. I feel like he would have, maybe I'm wrong, but he you break in there, you're going to steal something. Maybe you bump into the homeowner. Maybe she got up for a cup of tea in the middle of the night because she couldn't sleep, and you decide you're going to take her because she saw your face or what have you. Aren't you at least going to take your loot too? You're going to take something besides the old lady and the hassle.
It could be. Well, yeah, it could be. But see, we first of all, we don't know what he did or didn't take. We don't know at what point, if he was in there burglarizing the home when she woke up. She could have woken up immediately, and he injured her or killed her immediately. And then he spent 40-something minutes trying to figure out how to get her out of there. Also, I've heard people talking about, well, his backpack is full. Well, every time I order something online, like a drone or something, I get a backpack with it, and it's cheap. And that guy could have had 20 bags stuck inside that backpack that he has. So we don't know what his intent was. So that's why I just say, I don't rule these things out. Just like I wouldn't rule out the family being a suspect or actually having paid somebody to carry out this crime. As an investigator, I take each possible lead or each possible theory, and I put them on a dry erase board, and then as the evidence comes in, then I will chart that evidence underneath that one particular avenue of approach that I'm looking at. And so as crazy as it may sound, there's always a plausibility. And I think when you look at the fact that we don't actually know when and what happened inside that house, then you can't say that his intent was not to show up there and rob the place. I
want to talk about a couple of other possibilities here, because, we've been talking about the other possibility. There's a few, yes, I suppose burglary gone bad is one of them. I don't think it's most plausible, but okay, it's one of them. One of the leans is family member who wanted to get rid of Nancy for some reason. One of the leans is Stalker of Savannah Guthrie, who wanted to get closer to her, wanted to hurt her, something like that, doing something to the mother. They couldn't get close enough to Savannah. And then there's also the possibility of just random ne'er-do-well.
Worker.
Or somebody who didn't like Nancy. Yeah, a worker who Nancy didn't give him a good enough tip. Nancy said the wrong thing. They saw an opportunity. And there is still the possibility of legit kidnapper who decided to steal this old lady because she had a famous daughter and he thought he could extract a bunch of money from her. So there's a couple of those lanes that I wanted to explore with you guys today, including Stalker, Savannah Stalker. It just so happens that just this week, a BBC presenter, that's what they call them over there, news anchor who is Scottish. She works for Scotland's BBC, or is it GB? In any event, she's a UK broadcaster for the BBC, and she's Scottish. Her name is Anne McAlpine, and she just came out this week and gave an interview about having been stalked by an erotomaniac, a guy who very wrongly believed that they were in a relationship, even though they had never, ever met. And here is what she said in SOT 61.
It was letters that started coming to my work, and they were declarations of love, poems, gifts, CDs, cards, those sort of things.
So more than fan letters?
Yeah, and they were quite frequent in nature as well. Sometimes I would receive up to 3 or 4 in 1 week over the course of about 8 to 12 months. Didn't think a huge amount of them at the time. I didn't find them particularly threatening. Unpleasant and uncomfortable, certainly, yes, and a bit of a nuisance. But a lot of the time, these letters would end up in the bin, depending on where I was when I read them. So they were in block capitals, all signed off by the same name. So there was a reference point, there was a name, and they were also dated. But I got engaged at the end of 2021, and the tone in the letters sort of shifted.
Why? Because the engagement was public?
Yes, and I think this person seemed to think that we were in some sort of relationship. They would comment on the clothes that I wore on TV, the way that I moved, the way I held my pen. They thought I was giving subliminal messages through the television.
Chad, that is so chilling because, as I told you guys, that's exactly what happened to me with my stalker, who was an erotomaniac back when I first started at Fox News. He thought he was getting messages from me through my hand gestures on television. He thought that we had some whole coded language that we spoke to one another, all of which was made up by this unwell person. And there you see it happening to this gal, too. Is it possible that it was happening to Savannah Guthrie, too, whether she knew it or not? And this person saw a soft target featured in that Today Show segment she did about her mom, where she went to Tucson and showed off Tucson, and they sat in a Tucson bar and had margaritas 3 months before this happened.
Well, I'm sure that the FBI is diving into Savannah's unread, or, how your texts or the Instagram messages go to a separate folder if you're not friends with people. I'm sure they're diving into that. But Megyn, you bring up a great point. We have seen an increase, and there's a term out there called extreme misogyny. And that's these guys, predominantly men, that just have this hatred. They get a friend request or they see someone on TV and they truly believe that this is a mental illness and that they are being invited into some type of relationship, or that this person is communicating with them. And when they do not get what they are looking for, that extreme misogyny, they turn to violence. It is hard, though, to wrap my head that this person would turn and kidnap an 84-year-old woman to take out your anger. But I guess it is plausible. It is possible. If you want to affect the hearts of a young woman, go take her mother.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one of the reasons why this story is so compelling and has so many eyeballs, which is like, who takes somebody's mom? It's just like, it's just, has it ever happened before? Somebody's mom got stolen? That's like one of the things. It's so bizarre that we're all searching for some explanation. Let me play you one more soundbite on it. Yeah, go ahead, Chad.
No, just one more thing, because I think you've done a really good job. There's so many keyboard investigators out here that are saying, hey, I'm getting tired of this case, yada, yada, yada. We have a family whose mother is missing. Anybody out there that had a mother or a loved one that would go missing would be begging for investigators and just like you said, in the media, to be covering this 24/7 until you brought them home. Yes, this is a little bit more high profile because of who Savannah is. It doesn't matter if it was Tom, Dick, or Harry down the street. Someone's mother's missing, and law enforcement's out there doing the best they can.
One other soundbite from anchor Ann McAlpine, SOT 62.
So there was a situation where I was getting dropped off by a friend and colleague after a late shift. It was dark, and this man was standing in the middle of the road holding a carrier bag.
Outside your home?
Outside my home, yes. He approached the car. I was still in the car talking to my friend. He held eye contact, was walking towards me quite slowly, and something just felt really off. He didn't look friendly. He didn't look like he was looking for directions. He didn't look like he was going to speak even. He came right up to the passenger side of the car, just looked in. And I said to my friend, listen, I think you should drive off. We locked the doors and drove off. And then I called my husband to come to the front door to meet me. So that was the first incident outside the house. Yeah. And it sort of intensified after that, a few months after that. And my neighbours were involved in as well, because he was trying to gain access to the house. He was buzzing the flat in the middle of the night. He would stand in the middle of the road, just look up at the window.
What, in the middle of the night?
Yeah. The first time was in the middle of the night, and then he was sort of sitting on my steps, waiting for me.
All right, Maureen, my point is, if you were like this about Savannah Guthrie, you couldn't get anywhere near her. She is too well protected. That's all I'll say. But trust me, she is. But you could get near her exposed 84-year-old mom.
Right. And she's got a good security team, Savannah does. And they were in contact with the police shortly after, this event began to unfold. And they were working on anybody that was, looking at her from afar or from close up. But, she just had that surgery a couple weeks ago, and she was in a hospital.
On her vocal cords.
Yeah. And, maybe her mom was the emergency contact. Maybe that is something that sparked something like this in someone. But, having...
Or the Today Show feature.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing that anyone with two eyeballs can say for sure, and that is Savannah Guthrie loves her mom unbelievably, just like a lot of us do or have. You could just see it. It was so apparent, and it was so beautiful to see.
Yeah.
So if you did want to exercise some sort of control over her, that would be a way to do it. But something's got to be done to stop this nonsense.
International disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency. There is a never-ending list of reasons gold has risen over 700% in the last 20 years. And a never-ending list of reasons smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals with Birch Gold Group. Gold can thrive during uncertainty, which is why it is a crucial part of a balanced strategy. It gives you peace of mind given all the events that could impact the U.S. economy. See if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text MK to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, consider letting Birch Gold help you diversify with gold, so you too can have peace of mind regardless of the uncertainty. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.